it's sociopathic, you know. One minute he can be your best friend and the next minute he's thinking how he's going to tear your throat out. The real power trip for Klaus is to be able to manipulate someone.
So Klaus is a character that we've been told from the beginning is almost pure evil, but every week we see a little bit more humanity. So what's going on there?
I think there's only so long you can kind of sustain that two-dimensional evil before you have to learn about its roots. You have to find out where that came from, you know. Otherwise, we're just going to write him off. We're going to hate the character, and we need to sort of understand him, I think, if we're going to relate with him in the slightest. So I think it was important for the writers to expand upon the character's, you know, attributes and his history, and just sort of flesh all of that out to make it more three-dimensional, believable character. You know, in real life, things aren't that polarized normally. You know, people aren't just good or evil. There's many different motivations for those things. So I think it was important to sort of try as much as we can to set it in the real world, even though we're dealing with vampires and witches and werewolves and hybrids and ghosts.
And we know one of his soft spots is his family.
Yes.
And they kind of say that this is his one soft spot, but are there more soft spots to Klaus?
We're going to see more, yeah. There's, you know, one thing we talked about, and which I've been pushing for it seems like a long time, is a love interest. There is someone who takes his eye. There is someone that he's interested in, and you know, Klaus is used to getting what he wants. He's used to sort of, you know, if he can't take it, he'll compel someone into it, or he'll just, you know, grab it by force or whatever. But this person he's interested in isn't having any of that, and that presents him with a challenge and also intrigues him. And as we know, you know, once you start playing hard to get, that, you know, encourages the hunt a little more. So, yeah, he's there definitely is a different side of him that we'll see there. It's one thing to see that kind of tender side with his family, with his sister, for example, but it's a whole other thing with someone that he is trying to woo, someone that he's interested in romantically, you know.
And why doesn't Klaus just compel her?
First of all, why she wouldn't be interested is a very crafty way of trying to narrow down, who is this, and is it someone we've met before? So I applaud your craftiness, but you're going to have to get up a little earlier in the morning. It's there are really strong reasons why she isn't just wooed by him straight away, but you know, he does have 1,000 years of experience, and he's you know, very kind of we're going to learn, you know, a very kind of cultured man, as well as being, you know, a sadistic killer, and so there are elements of him that can be very charming. So it's going to be a struggle for her. Why he doesn't just compel her, I think, is the same reason why he didn't just compel Stefan straight away to sort of just be a remorseless killer. He wanted him to come around himself, to make his own decisions. That, you know, it would be easy for Klaus to just compel someone to love him, or to you know, like Damon did to Andy Starr, right? To make her his girlfriend through compulsion. But I think really the real power trip for Klaus is to be able to manipulate someone into that, to be able to make them believe it's their decision, you know.
So how much of a human is still in Klaus then?
You know, I'm starting to believe more and more. I don't think we're ever going to find him hanging out at the Mystic Grill with Jeremy and Matt, you know, in his time off. But I do think there's a certain level of humanity. You know, they talk about on our show, when you're a vampire, your emotions are intensified. And so that's why a lot of vampires shut it off. But I think for Klaus, he has a very, very deep well of emotion. And once his family start appearing, things start pouring out of him that, you know, it's very difficult to stop. And so, yeah, I think there's a very strong human element to him, but then, you know, humans can be cruel as well, and can be all kinds of terrible, so that doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing.
And I know we're going to meet more original brothers, so what can you tell me both about the characters and the actors playing them? Well,
we know their names, don't we? We know we're going to meet Col and Finn. And we know that they're, yeah, like you say, they're my siblings. I can't really reveal what episode we're going to meet them in, or under what circumstance. But I can tell you that I like them both very much, the actors, and we've got a proper little, you know, it's going to be a proper little gang with everybody. And now I like everybody in my family now. So yeah, and I can also tell you that from what I've read, stroke seen, stroke hypothesized, stroke just being a little vague here, that they each have very individual characters. Each of the original siblings are very different. They haven't just there isn't just a across the board you would be able to say, oh, I'm this one because of this, and it's really easy to kind of define their personalities, and that's again credit to the writers, for making them three-dimensional and continuing to flesh out my character.
Yeah. What's the most fun thing that you get to do as him?
The one thing that I continue to enjoy is the switch in him. That one where 1 minute he can be laughing and the next minute it's just like the emotion kind of drains out of his face, and suddenly the person's like, oh, wait a minute, what just happened?
Yeah.
I like that because it's sociopathic. 1 minute he can be your best friend and the next minute he's thinking how he's going to tear your throat out, and that to me is something really interesting, that he can just flip on a dime like that. So using an American expression to make it accessible for you.
And is he ever going to make friends with someone else?
I think he desperately wants that. He's, more than anything, he's lonely. So that's really what he wanted from Stefan. Kind of what he wants from Tyler, I think, with this whole siring. The thing is that Klaus hasn't figured out yet that you don't make friends through fear, through frightening people into being your friend. He has a hard time developing relationships that are based on trust, because he feels like his family abandoned him and his father never loved him, and so he can't. It's so dysfunctional, the roots of it all, that he has trouble kind of developing those relationships organically. But yeah, I hope so for his sake, because otherwise it's just going to get worse for everyone else.
Yeah. As a fan, every time you turn on an episode, there's always a little bit of a fear that this might be the episode that Klaus gets killed. So do you have that fear?
For me too, reading it, I remember the end of season 2, reading that big sacrifice episode 21, and they're all planning to kill him and they're so sure it's going to work. I started to believe it. And I was like, oh my God, I'm just going to flip to the end and see. I don't want to go yet. I'm really enjoying myself. I love my job. So I'd love to play this character for a little while longer, and explore a little more of him. But if they do kill me, I know it'll be in a very kind of dramatic, epic fashion. So.